Good morning, students. Today I am going to discuss with you chapter number 7, Weavers, Iron Smelters and Factory Owners from History. And today's topics are the sword of Tipu Sultan and wood steel. And topic number 2 is abandoned furnaces in villages. So, my dear students, your first topic is related to the story of Tipu Sultan and importance of wood steel. So, students, one question will arise here that why the sword was so special. So, students, the sword was so special because it was made by the wood steel, and during the time of Indian Sultan's era, Indian steel and iron metallurgy and smelting done by the men and women with the help of many techniques. So, students, Tipu Sultan, who ruled Mysore till 1799, fought 4 wars with the British and died during the fighting with his sword in his hand. Alright, and now Tipu's legendary swords are part of valuable collections in Museum of England. Alright, students. So, students, the sword of Tipu Sultan is very famous because it was made by an incredibly hard and sharp edge that could easily rip through the opponent's armor. Okay? And the quality of sword came from a special type of high carbon steel called woods, which was produced all over South India. And when wood steel made into swords produced a very sharp edge with a flowing water pattern, and this pattern came from very small carbon crystals embedded in the iron. Okay? So, students, during the era of Mysore in 1800, Francis Buchanan toured through all over the Mysore after the death of Tipu Sultan, and he was fascinated to saw that wood steel was produced in many hundreds of smelting furnaces in Mysore. Okay? And in these furnaces, iron was mixed with charcoal and put inside small clay pots. And through intricate control of temperatures, the smelters produced steel that were used for sword making. And these techniques and art of making wood steel not just in India but in West and Central Asia too. So, students, now you can understand that wood steel is very, very important, and in that time wood steel is known as different name in different parts of India, like in Kannada that steel is known as ukku, and after that in Telugu language it is known as hukku, and in Tamil and Malayalam it is called urukku. It means steel. So, students, Indian wood steel also fascinated all European scientists, and a European scientist whose name was Michael Faraday discovered electricity and electromagnetism. He spent 4 years in India for the study of the Woods steel from 1818 to 22. And students, the Woods steel making process, which was very famous and well known in South India, was completely lost by the mid 19th century. And many swords and armor making industries died or declined due to the conquest of India by the British and also imports of iron and steel from England in India. Alright, students. After that, your next topic is abandoned furnaces in villages. Okay? So, student, as I told you in my above topic that after the arrival of Britishers, the art of making wood steel started to decline and many industries and furnaces died. So students, you know very well that production of wood steel required a very high special technique of refining iron. But the iron smelting techniques was very common in all over the South India till the end of 19th century. And in Bihar and central India, particularly every district had smelters that used local deposits of nearby areas of iron ore to produce iron, which was manufacture many kind of implements and tools and daily use materials. And students, the furnaces were built of clay and sun-dried bricks. Okay? And students, that time, the art of smelting was known by men and women also, and they worked together with the help of bellows. And students, bellows was a device or equipment that can pump air, okay, for the charcoal burning. All right. So students, after that, finally, late 19th century, the craft of iron smelting was started to decline, and in many villages of India, furnaces fell into disuse and the amount of iron produced came down. So students, one question will arise here, that why was this so? So students, the decline of making wood steel and iron smelting is responsible only for the arrival of British in India. And after the arrival of Britishers in India, slowly they started to capture and conquer many important parts, ports, and many territories of India to rule on that. So, as I told you in chapter number 4 to you that one main reason was the forest laws which were made by the Britishers. So, you know very well that according to that law, colonial government prevented people from entering into the reserve forest. So students, now you can understand that how could they get iron ore and how they can enter and how they can collected woods and fruits and daily use material, especially those people were in trouble who were totally dependent to complete their needs and requirement on the forest based products. And after the law whatever introduced by the Britishers during that time, that was responsible for the loss of tribal livelihood especially. Alright students, and students, as I told you that after the making forest laws, common people and tribals were not allowed to collect anything from the forest, so they could not sustain their occupation on the basis for long. And also many gave up their craft and looked for other means of livelihood in nearby region or in growing cities of ancient India. Understood? And in some areas, if the government did grant access to the forest, but you know very well that the iron smelters had to pay a very high tax to the forest department for every furnace they used. And you know very well that after the domination of British in India, British imposed taxes in all the things of India, like for the cultivation of crops and also for trade and business and also for entering and using forest based product, and their taxes continuously increased also. Okay, so students, these heavy taxes were responsible for the reduced their income also. After that, by the late 19th century, iron and steel was being imported from Britain to India because anyhow Britishers wanted to make more and more profit. All right, and India was a very important market for the all kind of British product. As I told you about the British manufactured cotton printed products which were flooded in Indian market also. All right. So students, now you can understand that ironsmith in India began using the imported iron to manufacture utensils and daily basis tools, implements and materials. And above all factor which I told you are responsible for the declination of iron smelting techniques and also reason for the end of making wood steel totally from all over the South India. And student, problem is not end here. It was started to create more problem in front of iron smelters and iron based products producer, that by the starting of 20th century the artisans producing iron steel faced a new competition, because now the domestic techniques and arts of making iron smelting and making tools and materials also started to decline, because the development of iron and steel company or industry by the Tatas in India. Alright, students. So, students, for today that's all. And in my next explanation, I will discuss with you iron steel factories come up in India. Okay, and this is your last topic. Alright. So listen my lecture very carefully, and if you have any doubt or confusion, then contact me. Alright, thank you and have a nice day.